8 years ago, as the young heir to a Kyoto dynasty, I was trapped in a web of heartbreak until Su Mayan set aside her prejudices and took me in. By day, I was her personal secretary, managing her company affairs. By night, I was her sweet little lover, serving her every evening. I had originally thought I would spend my life like this with her, but it wasn't until that boy appeared that I realized I was nothing more than an expendable tool. Watching them cling to each other every day, I knew it was time to leave. Standing before her now, I said with sincere expression, "Director Su, this is my resignation." I placed the letter of resignation in my hand onto the desk. The woman in front of me was cold as ice. She looked up at me. "No wonder Lin Xiang is able to make me happy. Have you thought this through?" Su Mayan asked coldly. I nodded. "If there is nothing else, I will be taking my leave." Watching my departing back, Lin Xiang's eyes were full of triumph, but he quickly suppressed his emotions. "Director Su, perhaps you should clarify things with Brother Shen?" Hearing this, Su Mayan looked up at him. "Shen Yanci, he is just a lover I keep. Nothing but a dog. How could a dog ever bear to leave its master? Don't worry, come here and massage my shoulders." Lin Xiang quickly walked behind Su Mayan, massaging her shoulders with great care. After leaving the company, I drove to the villa where Su Mayan and I usually resided. Looking at every detail in the villa, memories of the past flooded my mind. For the past few months, Su Mayan rarely returned home, and I knew without thinking that it must have been to keep Lin Xiang company. The new love is seen smiling, while the old one is left to weep. Therefore, I left at this moment. I only took a few items of clothing, my computer, and my tablet. Beyond that, I took nothing else. As I stepped out of the villa, I glanced back, then walked away without looking back. On this day, the sun was perfect and the breeze was gentle. Perhaps due to the beautiful weather, I felt much more at ease. The moment I left the villa, the butler, Uncle Li, called Su Mayan. "Miss Jie, Mr. Shin just came to the villa and took his things." Listening to the butler, a look of disdain crossed Su Mayan's face. "Understood. He will return in a few days." An hour later, I arrived at a residential complex in the heart of Magic City. Long ago, I started buying stocks, and over the years, I had earned enough for a house, 19 commercial properties, shares in several companies, and a savings balance of 500 million. Since I usually lived with Su Mayan, I hadn't visited this place even after the renovation was finished. As the elevator doors slowly opened, I stepped out. I just hadn't expected that upon arriving, I would run into an acquaintance when Z, the chairperson of the Magic City Juanda Investment Group. We were old acquaintances, and because we worked in the same field and had clashed in the business world over a dozen times, we were familiar with one another. "Shen Yanci." When Z looked at me in surprise, then pointed to the adjacent apartment. "Is this house yours?" Hearing this, I nodded. "Yes, Chairperson 1. And you are?" When Z smiled helplessly, "I forgot my keys. I've already sent my secretary to the company to fetch the spare keys, but it will probably take over an hour. If you don't mind, why don't you come inside my place and wait for a while?" Although we were rivals in the business world, we were neighbors in private. And most importantly, I had already resigned, so there was no conflict of interest between Wen Zi and me. Inside the room, I poured a glass of water and handed it over. "Chairperson 1, please have some water." Wen Zi took the water and looked at me meaningfully. "I heard you resigned from Director Su's company?" Hearing this, I looked up abruptly. "You received the news quite quickly, Chairperson 1. Wen Zi looked smug. "Of course, someone who has defeated me so many times is someone I keep my eye on." I couldn't help but let my lips curl slightly. "And just how many people do you keep in your heart, Chairperson 1? "As of now, just you." Wen Zi stared at me intensely, and for some reason, I felt the remark was perhaps too ambiguous. "In that case, I am honored. Then, do you have me in your heart?" Wen Zi suddenly asked point blank. About that, before I could answer, my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen and hung up directly. "It looks like someone is trying to poach you." Wen Zi looked at me with curiosity. I nodded. "I suppose so. But right now, I just want to enjoy life and do things I enjoy. As for work, I am not considering it." Wen Zi nodded in agreement. "This industry is chaotic. You are highly capable, but you have a pure heart, so leaving is for the best. What do you plan to do next?" "That, I've thought about it carefully. I think I'll try cooking." "That's wonderful," Wen Zi said happily. Hearing this, I looked at Wen Zi in confusion. "You enjoy cooking too?" Wen Zi shook her head. "Not at all, I enjoy eating. I just wonder if I'll have the good fortune to taste it today?" "Of course, it is my honor to cook for you, Chairperson 1. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious KTV suite in Magic City, Su Mayan sat in the center, flanked by several glamorously dressed young women. and a slightly plump girl named Lin Weiwei sat next to Su Mayan, asking bluntly, "Did Shin Yanxi resign?" Hearing the name Shin Yanxi, the pressure in the room around Su Mayan instantly plummeted. "How did you know? It's all over the circle. I heard Chairman Liu contacted her right away. He's hoping she'll join them. The position of investment director comes with an annual salary of 10 million. Hearing this, Su Mayan clenched her fists. It felt as if something that belonged to her was being eyed by someone else. And as soon as these words were spoken, the entire private room fell into dead silence. Lin Weiwei continued, but she didn't take the offer, saying she wanted to take a break. Upon hearing this, Su Mayan let out a sigh of relief. Shin Yanxi is just throwing a temper tantrum with me. After some time, she will come back. So she spoke confidently. She's been too tired lately, so I gave her a few days off. She'll be back in a few days. Beside her, Wan Xinyao said with disappointment, "So, you didn't manage to poach her? My dad told me to join our family's company, but I don't know how to manage it, so I was hoping to recruit her." Su Mayan couldn't help but feel a pang of acidity in her heart. She stood up. "I'm going to the restroom." After saying this, she pushed the door of the room and left. A few minutes later, as Su Mayan was washing her hands after coming out of the restroom, a voice came from behind. Not planning to give her a call, Su Mayan turned around to look. It was her best friend, Song Shuran. "Why did you come out?" Song Shuran looked at Su Mayan, her tone calm. "Stop pretending like you really don't care. Why have you been staring at your phone in the private room? If I remember correctly, this is the first time you've ever done that." "She will come back," Su Mayan repeated firmly. Hearing this, Song Shuran sighed. "I don't know why you allowed Lin Xiang to hurt her, or even let her end up in the ICU. But I know that if she leaves for good, you will definitely crumble. So, as your best friend, I advise you, contact her." Su Mayan couldn't help but sneer. "Shuran, don't mistake me for some hopeless romantic. She's just a lover. Even if she doesn't come back, it won't change anything for me. Don't forget, as long as I want, I can have countless lovers." "Fine." As Song Shuran turned around and was about to head back, she suddenly thought of something. "By the way, my sources told me that when Z and Shin Yanxi are neighbors, and now when Z has moved in with her, I think you should be clear about what her intentions are. Inside a supermarket, Yanxi, this, and this look delicious too. What should I do? I want to eat them all." Nobody would have expected Wen Z to have such a childlike side. I remember the last time I felt this relaxed was when my parents were still alive. Looking at Wen Z in front of me, I couldn't help but smile slightly. "It's fine, eat whatever you want, I'll cook for you." Hearing this, Wen Z smiled. "So impressive, you can cook anything? Then I'll wash the vegetables for you." In the kitchen, Wen Z and I chatted while we worked. "By the way, since you aren't returning to that company, what are you planning to do next?" I thought for a moment, and said, "Take a break first, and then maybe study some new dishes in my spare time. If I get really bored, maybe I'll find a place to work as a security guard." "A security guard?" When Z teased. "With your looks, if you really go to work as a security guard, I'm afraid those single female residents in the complex would." Before she could finish, my phone rang. When I saw the caller ID on the screen, I couldn't help but frown. "Uncle Lee." I took a deep breath and answered the call. "Hello, Mr. Shen. The young lady has had too much to drink today, and her stomach issues are acting up. Do you know where the medicine is?" I replied, "The right side bedside table, the third drawer from the top." "Understood, Mr. Shen, I found it. But the young lady is quite uncomfortable right now. Would you consider coming over to take care of her?" If this were before, I would have agreed to anything. But after those few days in the ICU, I realized so much. So I said directly, "Uncle Lee, there are plenty of housekeepers at home, so I won't be coming. Besides, I've resigned, and I don't have much to do with CEO Su anymore. Also, if possible, please don't contact me in the future." Just then, when Z suddenly spoke, "Yanxi, would you like to eat this?" I was stunned for a moment, but replied, "Sure, just put it in my bowl." Then I continued to Uncle Lee, "If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." After hanging up, Uncle Lee stood in the living room breaking into a cold sweat. "Miss, about this matter." Su Mayan sat on the sofa, her expression as dark as the bottom of a pot. "When Z, it really is her. Damn it, how could they be together?" Su Mayan clenched her fists. "Yanxi, they sound so intimate. Uncle Lee, have Lin Xiang come over." Uncle Lee looked at Su Mayan while making the call. "Mr. Lin, hello? CEO Su would like you to come over here." On the other side, after dinner, I dropped Wen Z off at her home and headed back as well. I lay in bed, scrolling through my social media feed. At that moment, Lin Xiang's post caught my eye. The content was simple, one sentence and one photo. The text read, "A beautiful day. It should have a beautiful ending." The photo shows Lin Xiang wearing a ring, This ring was one I originally bought for myself. And Su Mayan. It's just that, after I bought it, Su Mayan didn't want anyone in the company to know about our relationship, so he never wore it. I suppose this counts as a different kind of public declaration. Thinking of this, I shake my head. Forget it, why think about these things? He walks his broad path. I walk my narrow one. What I owed him was already paid in full when I was on the verge of death. At the same time, Su Mayan is on the phone with Su Sunyen. If I remember correctly, this ring was the first gift Shin Yancy ever gave you, right? You just handed it directly to Lin Xiong, and even tacitly approved of Lin Xiong's alternative public declaration. Su Sunyen's tone carried some surprise. This Lin Xiong looks plain and unremarkable, and even a bit calculating. Yet Su Mayan completely disregarded the matter. It's just a ring, and it wasn't worth much. He wanted it, so I gave it to him. Someone so shrewd in the business world, yet now she is so blind to the situation. All right, that's enough, I'm going to sleep. Su Sunyen hung up the phone with a look of resignation. After hanging up, Su Mayan walked to the balcony, head lowered, watching the traffic below. The neon lights, the city is truly vast. So vast that if one person doesn't take the initiative, two people may never see each other again. So much time has passed now, no news, no meetings. In 8 years, this must be the first time. Su Mayan pushed open the bedroom door and looked at the decor inside. Before, she always felt it was meaningless. But looking at it now, it truly feels warm. Su Mayan sat on the bed, stared at her phone, hesitated for a moment, and then dialed. Her voice remained cold and heartless. Come home tomorrow and take away your trash. When I saw Su Mayan's incoming call, I was a bit surprised. Trash? I let out a cold laugh. Ms. Su, those things have nothing to do with me. Handle them however you like. Hearing this, Su Mayan couldn't help but tighten her grip on the phone. Shin Yancy, have you caused enough trouble? Ms. Su, just throw away some worthless trash. As for the costs, it seems my salary for this month hasn't been paid yet. Just use that to cover it. After saying that, I hung up directly. The next morning, I woke up early as usual and went out for a run. The morning park was quiet and fresh, with only a few elderly people and aunties exercising. Running allows me to get immersed and avoid thinking about work and life, letting me achieve absolute relaxation. On the way back, I ran into Wenzi, who had just woken up. Morning, what do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. 15 minutes later, 2 bowls of tomato and egg noodles were set on the table, but Wenzi suddenly said, don't start eating yet, I need to post this on Moments first. With that, Wenzi took a picture of the 2 bowls of noodles, specifically including my fingers in the frame. At the same time, Su Mayan was in the living room, her expression gloomy and uncertain. Why is this made so salty? Several servants were trembling. Actually, they knew deep down it wasn't that the food was salty, but that the person who cooked it wasn't the right one, yet no one dared to say it. Everyone lowered their heads in silence. Miss, we will remake it immediately, Uncle Lee suggested cautiously from the side. No need, I'll just eat this. Su Mayan started eating. She took out her phone to scroll through her moments. When she saw the post Wenzi had made, her face changed instantly. Although that face didn't appear in the photo. That hand, she looked at the post's timestamp, 7:40 a.m. Su Mayan couldn't help but clench her fists. Did they stay together last night? Thinking of this, Su Mayan dropped her chopsticks abruptly, turned and left the villa. Wenzi and I had already finished eating, and he stood up with a smile. I'll wash the dishes, you worked hard today. I smiled back, then what kind of reward are you planning to give me? Hearing this, Wenzi thought about it seriously. How about I give myself to you? I was amused by him. Good guy. If the people in your company found out their stunning CEO was with me, wouldn't their hearts be shattered? Why would they? Then it's a deal. I'm giving myself to you, brother. After finishing, Wenzi was afraid I might regret it and hurried into the kitchen with the bowls. Looking at Wenzi's back, I felt a bit of inferiority. No matter how successful I become, I was once Su Mayan's kept lover, an identity that can never be erased, and that kept lover identity can never see the light of day. Thinking of this, I walked outside the kitchen. Z, what's wrong? When Z looked back at me, I know your thoughts, but you know about my past with Su Mayan, so I feel you don't need to be like this toward me. A rotten person like me. When Z's hands stopped moving, his gaze becoming gentle. Why do you think you are a rotten person? Just because you were a lover? But Su Mayan wasn't married. You weren't the third party ruining someone else's relationship, so I don't think it should be called being a kept lover. I smiled. It's not twisting the logic, that's just the reality. So don't call yourself a rotten person. I think you are the best, the absolute best boy in the world. He said this while walking toward me. So next time, even if you reject me, use the excuse we aren't a good fit. Don't say you are a rotten person. Do you hear me? I looked at Wenzi before me. His gaze was filled with sincerity, warming my heart slightly. Thank you. This simple thank you was sincere. At the very least, it made me realize one thing. I no longer need to feel inferior. Silly, when Z smiled. She said softly, since we've laid it all out, I won't look for any more excuses. From today on, I am moving in. Her words left me slightly stunned, but perhaps trying a new relationship isn't such a bad idea. Since I still had to work today, when Z left after 8 o'clock, but Pidden stayed behind. Besides, I was going to be home alone, and having a dog for company isn't bad. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. I thought it was when Z having forgotten something, so I opened the door only to find Su Mayan standing there. Chairman Su, why are you here? I was taken aback. Su Mayan's gaze was so cold it made me uncomfortable. What, I can't come? She sneered. Afraid of what I might see. For instance, when Z, my heart skipped a beat, and my expression couldn't help but change. So that's why you resigned. You had already found someone new. Su Mayan's tone was dripping with sarcasm. What? You spent too long as a lover with me, so now you're going to be a lover for Wen Z? Her tone was full of biting hostility. Once you get bored with Wen Z, do you plan to go look for a 60-year-old rich woman? I frowned, my face turning cold. Chairman Su, that's enough. Mayan sneered, noticing Pidden nearby. So you've even taken in her dog. It seems you're practically living together. As she spoke, she pulled a bank card from her bag and threw it on the table. There's $1 million in here. Consider it a tip for this time. At that moment, a feeling of humiliation surged over me like a tidal wave. I couldn't hold back. I raised my hand and slapped her. Chairman Su, I think you've gone too far. You did me a kindness, but I dedicated 8 years to this company. The profit I brought to the company is easily between 100 and 200 billion. Moreover, I've already walked through the gates of hell once for you, so whatever debt I owed, I've repaid. Now I just want a clean break, with no further entanglements. Let's part on good terms, leaving each other with at least a shred of dignity. Su Mayan touched her slapped cheek and looked at me. Shin Yancy, you should know that no one dares to hit me. You are the first. After saying this, Su Mayan turned and left. Looking at her retreating figure, my heart felt heavy. I had hoped this relationship would end with some dignity, but I didn't expect it to end so wretchedly. After Su Mayan drove away, she sat in her car with an icy expression. She took out her phone and sent a message to her group of friends. Same old place. Drinks on me tonight. At the KTV, Su Mayan drank cup after cup, as if trying to drown her sorrows. Seeing her like this, Song Shuran frowned and tried to stop her. If you keep drinking like this, you're going to end up in the hospital. Even if something happens, you can't just torture yourself like this. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. Su Mayan replied coldly, continuing to pour. While I was at home playing with Pidden, I suddenly received a call from Song Shuran. Shenyansi, Mayan is drunk and completely wasted. If she keeps drinking like this, something bad will happen. Could you come by? Her voice was filled with urgency. I paused, feeling a sense of irritation. Miss Song, the relationship between Miss Su and me is over. She may be in the wrong regarding Lin Xiang, but for the sake of the past, can't you just sit down and talk? For the sake of the past? I sneered. If there hadn't been genuine feelings back then, I wouldn't have resigned. Call Lin Xiang. She'll be able to handle it. I hung up the phone. Back at the KTV, looking at Su Mayan's emotional state, Song Shuran sighed. Drink then. Maybe once you're drunk, you won't be unhappy anymore. Her friends watched Su Mayan drink cup after cup, their faces full of surprise, but seeing the slap mark on her face, they all knew something must have happened. Enough! Song Shuran stood up and snatched the glass from Su Mayan's hand. Are you trying to drink yourself to death? Her tone was full of reproach. I want to get drunk. So what? Su Mayan glared at Song Shuran. Don't I even have that right? At the very least, you have to tell me what happened. Hearing this, Su Mayan snorted coldly. Shinyansi is living with Wenzi, she said coldly, her words filled with unconcealable resentment. Isn't it ridiculous? A secretary who had been with me for so many years. I brought her to where she is. I gave her the life she has now, but now, she is living with my mortal enemy. Why? Tell me, why? Everyone was stunned. Shinyansi? Wenzi? They're actually living together. How is that possible? They looked at each other, not knowing what to say. This slap was. Su Mayan lowered her head, her voice slightly hoarse. Shinyansi's doing. Actually, I suppose I had it coming. I forgot that she is a person of great dignity. Su Mayan couldn't help but sigh. With eyes cast downward, she picked up a wine bottle and took a direct swig. Right now, she must view me as the person she hates most. Just then, Su Mayan's phone rang. It was a call from Lin Xiang. Su Mayan answered it. His voice, thick with tears, came through the receiver. "Chairwoman, I'm sorry, I've caused a disaster." Before he could finish his sentence, he started to sob. "What happened?" Sumayan asked coldly. "It's like this. I made a mistake with the decimal point in the contract. Then Director Liu, the other party, said I. And so I started arguing with him." He gasped between sobs. After listening, Sumayan's face was filled with speechlessness. A decimal point error is a matter of competence. You made the mistake, yet you have the nerve to cry. And you got into an argument with the client? You are truly foolish beyond belief. Give the phone to someone next to you. Sumayan took a deep breath, suppressing her anger, and said coldly, "Fine." Lin Xiang handed the phone over, his face plastered with a smug smile. "Chairwoman, Director Liu is extremely furious. He feels we don't respect them, so he's likely going to pull out of the partnership." The person on the other end of the line spoke with a hint of helplessness. "Pull out of the partnership? Let them be," Sumayan said indifferently. "This partnership is a long-term one. We can't just give up so easily," the person tried to reason. "All right, that's enough. Cancel the partnership." Sumayan hung up without a moment's hesitation. Seeing this, Lin Xiang's face became even more smug. "When I heard the news, I couldn't help but widen my eyes. Has this person lost his mind? Canceling such a major partnership just because Lin Xiang caused trouble? But I've already left the company, so worrying about it is useless anyway." I checked the time. It was almost noon. I sent a message to Wenzi. "Coming back at noon today?" Not long after, Wenzi replied instantly. "Hehe, do you miss me? If you miss me, just say it." I couldn't help but smile, feeling a sense of relief. "So, do you want me to miss you, or not want me to miss you?" "Of course I want you to miss me," Wenzi replied directly. "Though, I really have been missing someone today." I smiled, my mood lifting slightly. "Then I'll begrudgingly try to miss you," I joked. "I'll give you a chance to rephrase that." Wenzi sent an angry emoji. Her playful attitude made me laugh. "Miss you." A short response. "Hehe, that's better. I'll be back at noon." She replied quickly. I sent a message back. "All right, then I'll make lunch. What do you want to eat?" "Anything is fine. Whatever you make, I'll love." Wenzi's answer left me a bit helpless, but filled me with warmth. "Fine, I'll just make whatever." On the other side, after hanging up the company call, Sumayan continued to drink. Song Shuran looked at Sumayan, sighed inwardly, and hoped that Xinyao wouldn't regret this decision later. Just then, Sumayan's phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, she frowned tightly. It was her father calling. After answering the call, Sumayan said softly, "Fine, I understand." She hung up immediately. "What's wrong, Mayan?" Song Shuran asked with concern upon seeing her expression. "My father wants me to go home." Sumayan has always had a bad relationship with her father. Her father and mother built this company from scratch, but not long after, Sumayan's mother chose to return home to care for her, while her father messed around outside. Eventually, his affair was exposed, causing Sumayan's mother to suffer a heart attack and pass away. Sumayan was only 14 at the time. Ever since then, her relationship with her father has been irreconcilable. They fight every time they meet. "Should I go with you?" Song Shuran asked tentatively. "No, I'll go alone," Sumayan said, and immediately left the private room. 3 hours later, Sumayan arrived at the suburban villa. This was her home until she was 18. Every time she came here, she felt sick, especially since it reminded her of the truth behind her mother's death. "Miss, are you all right?" The driver looked at her and asked with concern. "I'm fine," Sumayan responded coldly. That sentence seemed meant for the driver, but more so for herself. She walked slowly into the villa. In the living room, Su Fu was sitting on the sofa. Although he was over 50, he still carried an air of elegance. "Why did you call me back?" Sumayan sat down coldly, her tone stiff. "You've been drinking." Su Fu frowned, trying to break the awkwardness. "That has nothing to do with you. If you have something to say, say it. If there is nothing else, I am leaving." "What is going on between you and Shin Yanxi? Why did he resign?" Su Fu asked bluntly. "What else could it be? He just didn't want to work here anymore." Sumayan's tone was somewhat sour, and a faint sense of unwillingness lingered in her heart. "And what about that Lin Xiang? He is my lover," Sumayan said indifferently. "And what about Shin Yanxi? He is my lover too." "What?" Hearing this, Su Fu stood up abruptly, overcome with rage. "Sumayan, are you crazy? You actually let an important person leave just for a lover. You abandoned the company's business expansion. Where did your shrewdness go? What about your decisiveness?" Sumayan sneered coldly, her eyes filled with a trace of contempt. "In what capacity do you have the right to accuse me? Are you even qualified? My mother died because of your sordid affairs. When she left, She didn't even close her eyes. So, you have no right to judge me. If there is nothing else. I am leaving. Su Fu watched her back as she departed. I know. As a father, I have done wrong, and I have no reason to ask for your forgiveness. Nor do I expect it. But Shen Yanxi was genuine with you. He stayed with you for so many years. You must have been moved by him deep down. Since that is the case, I hope you recognize your own feelings, and do not end up regretting it for life like I did. Su Fu's voice was full of helplessness. She continued to urge, let Lin Xiang go and find Shen Yanxi. Su Mayan looked up at the gray, overcast sky. My affairs are none of your concern, she said faintly, then turned and left the villa. At this moment elsewhere, I sat at the dining table with Wen Ziyi, enjoying a simple lunch. Wen Ziyi was eating with great relish, and I couldn't help but tease her. Eat slowly. Looking at you like this, I have to wonder if you are even the same Wen Ziyi I used to know. What do you know? I am providing you with emotional value. Wen Ziyi smiled. Haven't you read what's online? Compliment your boyfriend more, and a boyfriend will do anything for you. Then eat more. Thank you. Wen Ziyi smiled and took the sea cucumber. Why aren't you eating? I haven't been active all morning. I don't have much of an appetite. I thought you would say I was a feast for the eyes. I smiled, my tone relaxed. Of course, that's also a reason. Then do you want to eat me? Wen Ziyi continued, her tone playful. I nodded. I want to, and I am willing to. Wen Ziyi changed into a black dress, looking even more charming. I saw the photo she sent, and couldn't help but swallow my saliva, my heartbeat accelerating. Beautiful. I only replied with one word. I immediately followed up with 2 shy emojis. When Wen Ziyi saw this, her face flushed slightly. Meanwhile, inside a high-end restaurant in Shanghai, Lin Xiang was with a young man. Brother Ong, this stock is guaranteed to make money. The experts said so. If we invest 1 million now, it will turn into 10 million in a few days. This is a great opportunity to make money. When Lin Xiang heard this, his eyes were full of greed. But I don't have any money on me. That's easy. You are in the company now. Second only to one and above everyone else. Getting some money shouldn't be difficult, right? After we make the profit, we'll sneak the money back. No one will ever know. Isn't that great? Hearing this, Lin Xiang clenched his fists. All right, let's do it. Regarding the matters of Lin Xiang and Su Mayan, I was neither aware nor concerned. At this moment, I was dining with Wen Ziyi at a high-end restaurant in Shanghai. The place was filled with the wealthy and influential, chatting and laughing. Aren't you afraid I'll eat you into poverty? Wen Ziyi flipped through the menu and looked up at me, with a hint of playfulness. If you eat me into poverty, you can support me. I replied casually. That is not impossible. Wen Ziyi paused for a moment, then her eyes lit up. What did you just say? Watching the expression on her face, clearly having heard me but pretending to play dumb, I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't say anything. No, you did. Wen Ziyi widened her eyes, smiling as she leaned in. Say it again, I beg you. Brother, Ying. Few men could resist. An aloof, powerful woman acting spoiled before them, especially when in the eyes of others, she is still that capable and decisive business elite. I said I'd support you. No sooner had the words left my lips than Wen Ziyi smiled like a cat that had stolen a heart. Don't forget, you said it yourself, so it's a deal. But your company won't go bankrupt either. After ordering, I put down the menu. My gaze swept across the familiar surroundings. Su Mayan and I had been here a few times before. The difference was that I always used to be dressed in a suit and tie, sitting perfectly straight, because she demanded that I must look presentable. What are you thinking about? My foot was suddenly nudged by something. I looked down and saw her long, black-stockinged leg rubbing gently against mine. Looking at Wen Ziyi's seductive gaze, I couldn't help but marvel that this woman was truly a temptress. One moment she was a playful kitten, and the next a bewitching fox. Nothing. Just thinking about the past. Before I could finish, 2 people walked into the restaurant. Su Mayan and Lin Xiang. I frowned slightly. Wen Ziyi seemed to sense my change in demeanor and immediately looked back, and sure enough, Su Mayan's expression instantly turned cold, while Lin Xiang frowned. Mayan, should we go somewhere else? No need. Su Mayan shook her head. Let's eat here. If others can come, so can we. With that, she walked straight toward us. Director Su, what a coincidence. Didn't expect to run into you here. I put down my knife and fork, looking at her calmly. It really is a coincidence. Su Mayan gave a faint smile, her tone indifferent. Her gaze was fixed intensely on me. Do you need something, Director Su? Nothing. Su Mayan's tone was distant, just marveling at Director Wen's ability to seize an opportunity. It's truly impressive. Though it is a bit shameful. The air suddenly froze, and Lin Xiang frowned. He tugged her arm gently, signaling her to stop, but Su Mayan clearly didn't intend to hold back. Do you want me to hand over this ready-made example to you? Are you talking about Lin Xiang? When Z sneered, I think I'll pass. I'm quite a devoted person. I only like what I like, so I only want Shen Yanci, and I want only him for the rest of my life. Actually, I have to thank you, When Z continued. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid Yanci and I really wouldn't have had much of a chance. Su Mayan's complexion turned ugly in an instant. She stared at me intensely, her voice low. Are you two really together? At that moment, everyone's eyes were on me, and I curled my lips into a smile. I nodded slightly. You could say that. When Z smiled instantly. Her eyes were full of triumph. Su Mayan's fists clenched slightly, and after a moment, she said in a low voice, Good, very good. Don't regret this. Regret. I thought for a moment and smiled faintly. Come to think of it, I don't think I will. Su Mayan looked at me deeply before turning and walking toward a nearby table. Lin Xiang sighed and followed her. Why are you so happy? I looked at Wen Zi, my tone tinged with amusement. Maybe it's because you just admitted we're together. Wen Zi's eyes sparkled. You silly thing. I laughed, shaking my head. Let's eat. Su Mayan watched us talking and laughing, feeling an indescribable bitterness in her heart. The gentleness I showed just now used to belong only to her, but now it was given to someone else. I'm full. Su Mayan stood up, turned and left. Lin Xiang followed her, whispering, Mayan, have you really fallen in love with him? Su Mayan's footsteps faltered. Huh? She murmured, seemingly deep in thought. I don't know what love is. She lowered her head and clenched her fists. I only know that right now, my heart hurts. After leaving the restaurant, I naturally took Wen Zi's bag and then reached out my hand. She was stunned for a moment. Since we're a couple, holding hands isn't too much to ask, right? Wen Zi smiled and nodded, gently taking my hand. Her palm was slightly cool but soft. A breeze brushed by, and she suddenly looked at me. Should we take a photo to make it official? I nodded. Wen Zi raised her phone and snapped a picture of us holding hands. What should I write for the caption? She frowned. Just 2 words. I whispered, we. Wen Zi paused for a moment. Then, the corners of his mouth curved up, and his eyes held undisguisable amusement. All right, then it's him. After dinner, Wen Zi and I walked down the street hand in hand. The night in the metropolis was vibrant with neon lights, and the streets were filled with the laughter of young people. As we passed by a bar, the music inside rose and fell, with young people fully unleashing their passion. How about it? Do you want to go in and have some fun? When Z turned to look at me, a playful glimmer in his eyes, I shook my head and declined. I'm not cut out for this kind of place. When Z laughed, even though you're so young, the aura you carry is like an old official, but there's no helping it, since I'm the one who likes this specific aura about you. When Z smiled and linked his arm with mine. I thought you liked my looks, I joked, raising an eyebrow. When Z's face flushed instantly. You shameless thing, who praises themselves like that? That's not true. I'm not someone who acts on mere infatuation. Really? When Z frowned, his tone laced with feigned indignation. You're the worst. I'm ignoring you. He pouted and ran off acting coy. I followed after him and we played on the street like 2 children. I soon caught up to him. Hey, what? He turned back, his eyes full of curiosity. Kiss me. With no one around, When Z stood before me without hesitation. Under the street lamp, the air suddenly grew quiet. I bent down, getting close to his face, and When Z stood on his tiptoes and kissed me. Not far away, Su Mayan stood in the shadows, watching us, her expression flickering, before she lowered her head and vanished into the night. The next morning, Su Mayan walked into the company, and Lin Xiang was already waiting for her there. He walked up with a smile. Director Su. Su Mayan nodded, responding to him. Mayan. Lin Xiang seemed somewhat hesitant. Could I move in with you? The house I'm currently in, there are always arguments, and it makes me a bit scared. Su Mayan frowned. I'll have someone arrange a new place for you. A flicker of dissatisfaction crossed Lin Xiang's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. I understand. Lin Xiang hung his head and left, feeling unwilling. Back home, When Z was like a conjoined twin, always clinging to me. The moment he had any free time, he would throw himself at my side. I really don't want to go to work, he pouted, snuggling into my arms. Be good. If you don't go to work, who's going to support me? I laughed softly. Sigh. I finally understand why those ancient emperors would be obsessed with beauty. When Z stared at me intently, his eyes filled with a trace of infatuation. Go on then, I'll pick you up at noon, okay? I suggested with a smile. Really? When Z's eyes lit up. Of course it's real. I nodded. Hee. Then I'll want 3 kisses, no 5. The French kissing kind. Wenzi gave a wicked grin and blinked playfully. Fine. I agreed with a smile and he left happily. I sat on the sofa, turned on the TV, and prepared to watch a movie. Not long after, my phone rang. Seeing it was Sue's father, I immediately answered. Director Sue. Yancy, are you free lately? The voice on the other end was the gentle voice of Sue's father. I am. Is there something you need? I asked. Actually, there's nothing specific. I just wanted to chat about you and Mayan. Sue's father's tone revealed a hint of concern. My heart sank. Mayan. I know things between you and Mayan are over. Sue's father sighed, but we should still meet. I didn't speak again, just listened silently as he continued. The meeting spot was set at a coffee shop. Director Sue, I'm very sorry, I'm late. I walked over and sat down. It's fine, I arrived early, I didn't hold up your schedule, did I? Sufu smiled, his tone carrying a hint of exhaustion. Do you have any plans lately? He asked. I fell silent for a moment. I don't have any specific plans. I just want to rest and give myself a good chance to relax. And what about you and Mayan? Sufu seemed to want to say something more. It's in the past. It's already in the past. I responded calmly. She deserves someone better, and I am not that person. Are you truly able to let it go? He asked suddenly, his eyes full of concern. I nodded gently. Yes, I have let it go. To me, this relationship has already ended. Sufu sighed. It seems you have already made up your mind. I stood up, ready to leave. Director Sue, thank you for looking after me. I nodded in farewell. Watching my departing back, Sufu murmured to himself, Mayan, you will truly regret this for the rest of your life. After meeting Sufu, I returned home and not long after, my phone rang. It was a message from Wenzi. A note from your little housekeeper. Please come and pick up your lovely girlfriend before 12 p.m. Upon arrival, you will receive 3 kisses from your girlfriend as compensation. I looked at the message and couldn't help but smile, wondering if this was a reward for myself, or a reward for Wenzi. Received, I replied quickly. I wonder what my lovely girlfriend would like to eat for lunch. Wenzi replied immediately. How about sweet and sour pork ribs? That works, I replied. Then I'll leave the hard work to you, honey. Sweet and sour pork ribs were my specialty, and they weren't complicated to make. I put on my jacket, preparing to go to the supermarket for some ribs, but just as I was about to head out, my phone rang again. It was a call from Lu Ziyu. We have known each other for 6 years. He is one of my best friends. Yancy, what's up? I answered the phone. Yancy, are you free right now? There's something I'd like to ask for your help with. I frowned. Lu Ziyu comes from a well-off family and owns a bubble tea brand, with annual profits in the billions, making him quite the wealthy man. I know Jiang Yichen is your childhood friend, and you introduced him to me a while back. He is running a gaming company now, and I heard the game is about to launch. That's right. His game development is finished, but now he lacks the funds for promotion. He came to me for help, but my family won't provide more investment, so I wanted to ask if you could help out. A gaming company? I hadn't invested in such companies before, and investing in the gaming industry has never been easy. The domestic internet giant, Tingfei Group, always relies on cloning games to take market share, making investors very cautious. That game should be an anime-style one, right? I asked. Yes, the game is actually quite good, and the plot is creative. If the marketing is done right, it could be a huge hit. Lu Ziyu added, I have prepared 70 million in marketing budget, but it really isn't enough. If you could help, the dilemma would be solved. I considered it for a moment, deciding to help. All right, I have time around 3 p.m. this afternoon. Bring Jiang Yichen to my place, and I'll talk to him. This is also an opportunity. Investment itself carries risks, but it can also bring rewards. Plus, with my abilities, even if it failed, it wouldn't have too big of an impact. All right, see you this afternoon. By the way, I heard you are together with Wenzi? How did things move so quickly? Lu Ziyu asked. That's a long story. Let's talk about it when we meet this afternoon. I replied dismissively. All right, see you this afternoon. Lu Ziyu hung up the phone, and I went to the supermarket to buy some small spare ribs. For sweet and sour ribs, you have to choose this type, with plenty of lean meat and not too fatty. After shopping, I went home to cook. I prepared lunch. Once done, I checked the time. It was already 11 o'clock. I put the dishes into a thermal container and headed out to pick up Wenzi. Soon, I arrived at the parking lot. I'm here. I took a photo and sent it to Wenzi. You worked hard, honey. Wenzi replied quickly. Hee, I love you the most, honey. My lips curled upward involuntarily, and a hint of sweetness filled my heart. It seems the feeling of a genuine romance really is different, bringing a sense of warmth and happiness I had never felt before. Honey, when Z got into the car. She said it in a super loud voice. Today she was wearing professional office attire, with black silk stockings that made her look both mature and intellectual. If your employees saw this, wouldn't your image at the company be ruined? I teased her. Let them look. She reacted quickly. What's wrong with calling my boyfriend hubby? All right. I reached out and gently tapped her nose. You silly thing. The car was filled with warmth, and as we chatted and laughed, everything felt so natural. After arriving home, I brought out the steaming hot dishes, and when Z couldn't help but praise. Wow, it smells so good. Whose boyfriend cooks this well? I smiled. If you keep saying that, I'm afraid my tail will fly up to the sky. Then you'll have to take me flying with you. When Z's tone was playful again, and looking at how happy she was, I felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction in my heart. While eating, she picked up a piece of pork rib for me. Hubby, you eat first. You silly thing. I smiled and took a bite of the rib, when Z was eating the meal I made today with great relish. Watching her gobble it up, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but turn up, and my heart was filled with contentment. After dinner, when Z let out a satisfied belch, so delicious. I stood up. Okay, then you take a rest. I'll wash the dishes. No, I will. Hee. When Z grabbed the bowls and chopsticks first and headed into the kitchen herself. I stood by the kitchen cleaning up with her, feeling a peaceful sense of happiness in my heart. On the other side, Su Mayan was in a gloomy mood. She threw the documents in her hand onto the table. Why did the other party increase the cost by 10% for this collaboration? She demanded. They lowered their heads and replied. Chairman Ma said the previous prices were due to the personal relationship with Director Shin. So he gave us a friends and family discount. Then go and negotiate. Su Mayan said coldly. Get the original price. The subordinates looked very awkward. Chairwoman, that might be difficult. We heard that several other companies are also in contact with them. If we delay any longer, we might lose the project. If there's a difficulty, find a way to solve it. Su Mayan's tone was sharp. Otherwise, what am I paying you for? Get this done within 3 days. The atmosphere in the office grew increasingly tense. Su Mayan furrowed her brows, and she could feel it too. Her own emotions had changed significantly recently, and she suddenly felt, ever since Shin Yancy left, she seemed to have lost a lot. When he was there before, all her negative emotions would be released. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Come in. Su Mayan pulled herself together to answer the knock. Chairwoman, word from the villa is that the former chairman met with Shin Yancy today. Su Mayan was stunned. What did he say? He said he hoped Shin Yancy could return to your side, but Shin Yancy refused. The corners of Su Mayan's mouth curled up slightly. Shin Yancy, oh Shin Yancy, does he really think he and Wen Zi can last a lifetime? She was waiting for the one family to make a move and tear Shin Yancy and Wen Zi apart. If that happens, this game, he seems to haven't rested for several days. Indeed, a penny can stump a hero. There is truly no flaw in that saying. Shin Yancy, old Lu has already told me about your situation. Zhang Yicheng began. Sorry to bother you at a time like this. If there were any other way, I certainly wouldn't be troubling you. It's fine. I'm a businessman too. As long as the project is good, it doesn't matter if it's a bother or not. I responded with a smile. A glimmer of confidence flashed in Zhang Yicheng's eyes. He had spent 3 years, investing nearly 100 million in funds, and personally spearheading the creation of this game. He was full of confidence in this project. As long as the marketing is done right, the revenue certainly won't be low. The game is ready. I asked, you got it ready? Zhang Yicheng replied, and opened the computer. Please take a look. The game visuals were exquisite. Although it was a combat-style game, the landscape design was full of aesthetic beauty, and the characters were highly attractive. Without a doubt, this would attract quite a few anime fans, and the combat effects of the game were very smooth. I played it for about 2 hours and felt it was good. I really think this project is quite promising. I nodded. How many players do you think it can reach? I asked him. With effective marketing, we estimate daily active users could reach around 15 million. Zhang Yicheng answered with full confidence, and I frowned. You should know. The most popular mobile game on the market right now has a daily revenue of no more than 5 million. I know. But I believe in my game, and I also think it can be called a work of art. Zhang Yicheng was a bit arrogant, but he was also full of confidence. How much investment do you need? I continued to ask. Currently, we need about 300 million for marketing expenses. CEO Lu has already given us 70 million, so we are still short 230 million. If you are willing to invest, we are willing to give you a 35% stake. Zhang Yicheng looked at me, his eyes full of anticipation. 230 million for a 35% stake. By market standards, if the game is well made, this price isn't unreasonable. However, considering the game hasn't officially launched yet, No one can say for sure how it will perform. A 35% stake, this price is a bit low. I pondered for a moment and said, I need a 45% stake. Hearing this number, Jiang Yicheng was clearly nervous. He knew that if he agreed, a 45% stake would mean I have the greatest say in the company. I know what you're worried about. I smiled. Although it is a 45% stake, the corresponding 45% of the voting rights, I can sign a contract with you, allowing you to handle them on my behalf, which means I only want 45% of the dividends. Additionally, to protect my own interests, I also need veto power on the board of directors. If you agree, I can increase the investment to 300 million. I pushed a contract toward him. These are my conditions. You can take your time to consider. Jiang Yicheng was silent for a moment, then finally nodded. I agree. I nodded. Are you free tomorrow morning? We can sign the contract. No problem. Jiang Yicheng replied. After all the business negotiations ended, we started talking about personal matters. You and Su Mayan. Lu Ziyu looked at me. Actually, he had long known about Lin Xiang and had once advised me to give up on Su Mayan. At that time, I could never make up my mind because he occupied too large a place in my heart. He was the one who pulled me out of hell, and I couldn't let go. It's over, I answered calmly, giving him 100 points. At that time, I gave him 100 chances. As long as he was willing to say one word for me, I wouldn't have left, but he did nothing. Eventually, I decided to leave. Since it's over, I should enjoy a new life. Lu Ziyu said with a smile. What about you and Wenzi? He began to tease me. He is my neighbor. We just ended up together in this inexplicable way. I replied indifferently. Haha, it seems your face is written with sweetness now. Lu Ziyu laughed. I think Wenzi is more suitable for you than Su Mayan. I saw that social media post where you made it official. His eyes are full of love for you. In comparison, Su Mayan never had that kind of look in her eyes. I nodded silently. Yes, he is my perfect match. Believe me. Lu Ziyu said, eyes don't lie. I hope so. I looked down at the window. Wenzi is a very lovely person, and I think we will be very happy together. Lu Ziyu smiled and nodded. You definitely will. I hope to drink to your wedding soon. He joked, don't worry by that time. You will definitely be the best man. I replied with a smile. Haha, at that time. I must see if I can find a suitable bridesmaid for myself. Lu Ziyu said with a laugh. I promised, don't worry, Z will arrange it. Just then, my phone rang. It was Wenzi. Honey, my family wants us to come over for dinner tonight. His voice carried a hint of nervousness. I was slightly stunned. Does this mean meeting the parents? I paused and replied with a short word. Okay. Wenzi looked at the message on his phone, a happy smile immediately appearing on his face. He answered excitedly, Hee honey, I'll go back in a bit. We'll go to my place then. Don't worry. My parents are very good people, and they like you very much. If things get tough, just say I'm pregnant. Seeing this message, I couldn't help but laugh. Pregnant? Wenzi really knows how to say such things. We haven't done anything yet. If he were pregnant, I'd feel like I'm wearing a green hat. Was he pregnant with sweet and sour pork ribs? Wenzi added. Seeing this message, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I found him to be truly adorable. Hearing me laugh, Lu Ziyu asked curiously. What's wrong? You look so happy, going to the Wen family's house for dinner tonight. I laughed and replied, haha, meeting the parents. Lu Ziyu teased. You're moving fast. If you tell me in a few days that Wenzi is pregnant, I wouldn't even be surprised. I looked up and thought for a moment, then you'll have to work harder. Get lost. Stop torturing a single guy like me. Lu Ziyu laughed and pushed me. After seeing Lu Ziyu and Jiang Yicheng off, I sat on the sofa, my thoughts drifting away. I had certainly heard of the Wen family. Their status is illustrious in Shanghai and throughout the entire 9 provinces. Nowadays, the core industries of the Wen family are basically managed by Wenzi. Under his hand, the family business has completed its reform, and its speed of development has reached a new level. I took out my phone and opened the chat history with Wenzi, feeling a bit uneasy. After all, this is my first time visiting the Wen family, so bringing some gifts is definitely necessary. What kind of gifts should I prepare? I sent a message. A few seconds later, Wenzi's reply popped up quickly. I've already prepared everything here. Don't worry, I'm here. My parents said that as long as I can bring a boyfriend home, that is the best gift of all. Seeing his words, I sighed with relief. Turns out he had already prepared everything. I intended to transfer some money to him, but he interrupted me. Silly, your money, my money? In the end, aren't they all our money? Be a good boy. All right, I'm heading home. Wenzi's tone carried a hint of playfulness. Be good and have a sweet kiss ready at home. Seeing the shy emoticon he sent, I smiled and replied, okay. Time ticked away second by second, and not long after, the sound of the door opening echoed. Ever since we started living together, I gave Wenzi a key to make it easier for him to come and go. He hugged me the moment he walked in. Before I could say anything, "I want a kiss." Wenzi smiled quite cunningly. "A French kiss." I glanced at the door. "The door isn't closed yet. It's fine. We are the only 2 apartments on this floor anyway." As soon as he finished speaking, he kissed me directly. A few minutes later, "That feels good," he whispered. I smiled slightly, feeling a bit amused. "I wanted to kiss you back in the office earlier," he whispered. "If only you could teleport, then whenever I want to kiss you, you could instantly appear in front of me." I was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. "Am I that charming? Let's wait until tonight to kiss, otherwise I'll end up with swollen lips by the time we get to your house," I joked. Wenzi blushed and lowered his head shyly. "Well, tonight I want to." His words left me stunned. "You're such a pervert," I said with a helpless laugh. Hee. Wenzi blinked his large eyes. "Please, just say yes to me." Looking at his pleading expression, I nodded and agreed. Although I felt a little excited inside, we still had to visit the Wen family tonight. We quickly went to change our clothes. Since it was my first time visiting, I put on a suit. "So handsome." Seeing me in a suit, Wenzi's eyes were full of admiration. "I don't want to let you leave the house anymore. I'm afraid you'll catch someone's eye. What if you get snatched away?" I smiled and ruffled his hair. "Don't worry, I'm yours. No one can take me away." He laughed brightly. "That's right. Whoever tries to snatch you away, I'll drown them in the sea." Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After getting ready, we went downstairs quickly. "What did you buy?" I asked. "My dad likes antiques, so I bought some antiques. And I got a designer bag for my mom. That should be enough." Hearing him say this, I felt a bit helpless. Right now, I feel like I'm living off a wealthy partner. The old Wen family residence is in the suburbs, a traditional Chinese courtyard. With a strong Jiangnan style, it looks quite antique from the outside. The car steadily drove into the gate of the Wen residence, where someone was already waiting at the entrance. "Mississippi, sir, they have arrived." A servant of the house greeted us with a smile. Wenzi nodded, handed the gift to the person beside her, then linked her arm through mine and walked straight inside. Meanwhile, on the other side, Su Mayan also received the news. "Miss, our people over there said that around 4 o'clock this afternoon, Mr. Shen and Ms. Wen returned to the Wen residence." Hearing this, Su Mayan was slightly surprised. "Home? Does this count as meeting the parents? Are you sure?" Su Mayan's voice trembled a little, appearing somewhat urgent. "Yes, Mississippi." The staff member kept their head low, not knowing how to respond. "Good. Keep watching them." Su Mayan gritted her teeth, the anger and anxiety on her face becoming apparent. "When will they come out? You must tell me." The staff member nodded quickly. "Understood." A few minutes later, Su Mayan spoke again. "Has she come out yet?" "Miss, Mr. Shen has not come out yet," the staff member replied in a low voice. This made Su Mayan completely unable to sit still. She walked to the window, her gaze dark. "Tell me, what do you think they will do tonight?" At this time, the gathering at the Wen residence was already coming to an end. Wenzi had drunk enough, so she went back to rest. I was also lying in my room. Although I could still keep a clear head, if I kept drinking, I figured I would get drunk. Just as I was about to put down my phone and rest, it rang again. "Husband, hurry and open the door for me." Wenzi's voice came through. I was stunned. "Wenzi is here? She dares to come here while at the Wen residence?" Wenzi stood at the doorway, the corners of her eyes slightly red, her gaze evasive, as if she were shy. She asked me to open the door and immediately slipped in, as if afraid of being seen. "Aren't you afraid of being seen?" I teased. Wenzi's face turned even redder, and she tapped me lightly. "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have done this." I smiled, watched her reach out, naturally swept her up into my arms, and laid her gently on the bed. The scent of alcohol still lingered on me. Wenzi leaned against my chest, whispering softly, "I'm so happy." "How happy?" Just very, very happy." Wenzi smiled, burying her face in my chest. "Every day from now on, we should be like this," I said in a low voice. Wenzi looked up at me, her eyes filled with unconcealable sweetness. "Of course, every day." The atmosphere was perfect. I suddenly smirked and lowered my voice. "But, don't you think this feels a bit like an illicit affair?" Wenzi was startled, then realized what I meant, her face turning as red as a ripe apple, and she gave me a playful, reproachful glare. "Rest easy, my husband won't be coming back. I am all yours today." As she said this, she was overcome with shyness herself, her eyes holding a hint of bashfulness. When Z pushed me down and lay gently on top of me, nestling against me like a cat, I took the opportunity to wrap my arms around her waist and whispered, "There's something I want to tell you." "What is it?" When Z pressed against my chest, listening to my heartbeat, her gaze languid and content. "I'm planning to invest in a gaming company, and I'm signing the contract tomorrow." When Z looked up at me and nodded, "That's fine. Not enough money? If not, I still have over 10 billion in my personal account." I raised an eyebrow. This woman is truly a tycoon, but it won't be necessary. "I have enough money. I just wanted to report to you since you are my wife now after all." The words "my wife" made her eyes instantly light up. She tugged on my collar and acted coquettishly. "Say it again. What do you want to hear?" "You know." When Z pouted, her eyes showing a hint of cunning, I teased her on purpose. "What do you want to hear?" "Husband, say it quickly." When Z urged softly, her face flushed red. "There's a reward if you say it." I chuckled and obediently whispered it. "Honey." When Z's eyes curved into crescent moons, she leaned in triumphantly and kissed my cheek lightly. "That's the reward? Just that? I thought you were going to give me 2 kisses." Not expecting to have guessed one correctly, I pretended to be disappointed, and when Z blushed, giving me a light peck. No wild thoughts allowed. The next morning, when Z set an alarm, leaving as reluctantly as she could while the family wasn't paying attention. Before she left, she kissed me for a few minutes more, the excuse being that she was prepaying for the daytime kisses. After breakfast, I took her back. She had her driver pick her up, while I drove her luxury car home. Sitting in the driver's seat of a car worth tens of millions, I felt no different than I did in my own car worth a few $100,000. When the elevator doors opened, I saw Sumayan standing at my door at a glance. She hadn't slept all night, her eyes were rimmed with dark circles, and she stared at me with an icy gaze. "Where have you been?" Sumayan asked in a low voice. I frowned. "Did you have someone follow me?" Sumayan didn't answer, just asking again, "Where have you been? Is this question so important?" I replied indifferently. Sumayan was stunned for a moment. I had never used that tone with her before. "Are you two getting married?" she asked in a low whisper, a hint of imperceptible trembling in her voice. "Maybe," I replied calmly. Sumayan's face turned pale. It seemed she had never imagined that one day I would marry another woman. "How long do you intend to keep this up?" Sumayan stared at me. "I can make Lin Xiang disappear. From now on, you will never see him again." If this were the past, I might have been happy, but now it didn't matter to me at all. "Sumayan, we are finished," I said calmly. "No, wait. It seems our relationship never really began in the first place." Sumayan's face went white, her lips trembling slightly. "In your eyes, I was always something that couldn't be seen in the light. Everything you gave to Lin Xiang, I once longed for, but now, I don't want it anymore." I turned to enter my apartment, but Sumayan spoke up suddenly from behind. "I can give you everything I gave her as long as you come back." Her voice carried a note of pleading. I paused for a moment and turned to look at her. "No need, we can't go back." My tone remained calm. From the moment I decided to leave that day, there was no going back. "No one will wait for you forever, Sumayan." I felt a sense of melancholy. "I am grateful that you pulled me out of the abyss back then, but for all these years, I have worked diligently for you, which should settle the debt of your grace in giving me a chance. From now on, let us go our separate ways." Sumayan immediately grabbed me from behind. "Come back. I can pretend nothing happened between you and Wenzi, and I will make Lin Xiang leave. I can make us public, we can get married, we can have a wedding, and we can have children in the future. As long as you come back, I can give you all of this." I pried Sumayan's hands off me. "I'm sorry, I don't need it. Let it go. And let's put a final period on our story." After saying this, I opened the door and walked inside. Watching the door shut, Sumayan smiled. "Shinyansi, do you really think you can leave me? You and Wenzi will never be able to get married." Not long after Sumayan left, Jiang Yichen arrived. "Mr. Shun, this is our contract. Please have a look." He handed me the document. I flipped through it briefly, found no issues, placed it on the table, and looked up at him. "Have you thought it over? If your game becomes a massive hit, nearly half the revenue will be mine. Don't you feel shortchanged? There's still time to back out now." Jiang Yichen shook his head, his tone firm. "No, without your investment, our company, and this game would have been finished long ago. You invested so much money. A larger share of the profits is only right. If I couldn't understand even that, you wouldn't have invested in me in the first place, right?" I nodded, hesitated no longer, and picked up the pen to sign my name on the contract. The moment the pen tip touched the paper, the investment became official. "I'll have someone transfer the funds to you this afternoon." I closed the folder and looked up at him. "But when are you planning to start marketing?" "Tomorrow. Jiang Yichen smiled, his eyes full of confidence. So soon? Yes, the game is fully developed. Everything is ready. We were just waiting for the east wind. Now that the east wind has arrived, we naturally won't hesitate. I nodded with satisfaction, hoping you can deliver the results I expect. Jiang Yichen nodded with a smile. We won't let you down. The two shared a knowing smile. With that said, there was no need for further words. After signing the contract, Jiang Yichen left. At the same time, Su Mayan returned to the company. The moment she stepped into the office, Lin Xiang immediately walked up to her, his face full of smiles, about to say something. However, Su Mayan acted as if she didn't see him, pushing open the door to the CEO's office and walking straight in, leaving Lin Xiang looking embarrassed. Sitting in her executive chair, Su Mayan was still thinking about what had just happened. She felt an inexplicable fear in her heart. It was the first time she had felt this way, as if the most important part of her life had left. It was truly unsettling. Just then, a knock at the door sounded, and a staff member walked in from outside. Chairwoman, we just received news that Mr. Shen invested in a game company yesterday. The contract was officially signed this morning, and his investment amount is close to 200 million. Su Mayan frowned. What kind of game company? We looked into it. It's an ACG game company. They have already developed a product, but because there has been no successful precedent for ACG games domestically, no investors were willing to put money into it. Su Mayan fell silent for a moment, her fingertips tapping rhythmically on the desk. Now that her life and Xin Yanxi's no longer overlapped, if she wanted to create a new point of connection, this might be an opportunity. Contact this company and tell them I want to invest personally, with an amount of 100 million. The employee was clearly stunned. Chairwoman, our company is not involved in the gaming sector. You are suddenly investing because, Su Mayan interrupted her. I said it is my personal investment. It has nothing to do with the company. Do as I say. The employee dared not ask further and could only nod as she retreated. Watching the person's back disappear, Su Mayan's eyes grew deep. Xin Yanxi, you are mine. Don't even think about escaping my grasp. Just after leaving the office, the employee was intercepted by Lin Xiang. What was that about just now? He asked, feigning indifference. Nothing, just that the chairwoman decided to invest in a game company. The employee replied casually. A game company? Lin Xiang frowned. Yeah, it's strange. Mr. Shin just invested, and the chairwoman followed suit. Maybe she just trusts Mr. Shin's judgment that much. Lin Xiang's complexion turned grim instantly. Xin Yanxi invests so Su Mayan follows suit? Could it be that Su Mayan still hasn't forgotten that guy? No way. He went to such lengths just to get Xin Yanxi to leave, but now it seems that he is the one who looks like a complete clown. Lin Xiang gritted his teeth, his knuckles turning white. Xin Yanxi, why is it still you? You've already gotten lost. How can you still threaten me? You deserve to die. Just as Lin Xiang was gnashing his teeth, his phone rang. Brother Ong, I've invested as you said. This stock continued to soar today. Get ready to make some money. Lin Xiang stared at the screen, finally feeling a bit more at ease. The stock he invested in had shown amazing growth recently. If he could sell it successfully, he could not only cover the 30 million embezzled from the company but also make a profit. All right, I'll wait for your good news. Lin Xiang replied. At the same time, I received a message from Wenzi. Inside tip, that stock is going to crash after the market closes on Friday. Seeing this, I wasn't surprised at all. No stock can rise forever, and this stock's recent gains were completely irrational. It was clearly meant to fleece retail investors. The timing of the Friday crash was also very subtle, because the market is closed over the weekend, so even if retail investors wanted to sell, they couldn't, forced to watch their capital evaporate. Fortunately, I sold early. I replied, my darling is so amazing. When Z replied instantly, oh my god, why is my darling so smart? Kisses. I couldn't help but laugh. To be honest, Miss Wen provides great emotional value. But when it comes to family wealth, I really can't compare to her. She's a rich woman who can drop 10 billion without a second thought, while I can barely be considered a somewhat wealthy small business owner. Hee, a little embarrassed. I'll be relying on the rich lady to keep me in the future. I joked. When Z sent back a smirk emoji. But the rich lady will want some benefits. I typed with a smile. What benefits do you want? How about a kiss for you? Of course I want a kiss, but I also want to see your abs, when Z replied. I raised an eyebrow. Actually, I've been working out, so of course I have abs. However, my type of muscle is more for functional use, unlike those who train specifically for bodybuilding. Though they are quite lethal to the opposite sex. Is that so? That won't do. I deliberately teased her, just to keep her from doing anything wicked with my photos. I wouldn't, when Z replied instantly. I can touch them when we meet after work. Why look at photos? Her impatient tone made me laugh out loud. Fine, I'll come pick you up then. At the end of the workday, I arrived at her office building right on time. As soon as I got out of the car, when Z threw herself at me, her hands wandering unrestrainedly. I looked at her helplessly. Could you not be so eager? When Z looked up and glared at me, she said with complete justification, anyway, it's after work, so I can do whatever I want. This woman is truly too brazen, but honestly, this feeling isn't bad at all. After receiving Su Mayan's orders, the staff member immediately contacted Jiang Yichen. When Jiang Yichen picked up the phone, he was clearly taken aback. A project that no one had cared about just a few days ago now suddenly had someone rushing to throw money at it. Sorry, we aren't currently looking to engage in other investment opportunities. Jiang Yichen replied politely but firmly. The staff member clearly hadn't expected a rejection, so they tested the waters. We are willing to invest 100 million for only 5% of the shares. Also, we won't interfere with company operations. Management rights are entirely yours. We only take dividends. Jiang Yichen frowned. These terms were just a bit too good. He didn't understand how there could be such kind investors in the world, but I knew exactly why. Su Mayan doesn't care at all whether this 100 million makes a profit. She just wants a chance to intersect with me. If there are no issues, we can sign the contract today, the staff member urged. Jiang Yichen pondered for a moment. Although the money I provided was enough for the current marketing plan, with an extra 100 million, they could execute a larger-scale campaign, and the results would be better. Jiang Yichen hesitated for a few seconds before finally nodding. Fine, let's discuss the details of the contract. The signing was quickly finalized. The staff member returned to the office to report to Su Mayan, Chairwoman. The other party has accepted our investment, and the contract is ready. Su Mayan responded indifferently. The staff member gathered the courage to look at her. Chairwoman, you investing in this company. Is it because of Shen Yanxi? The air went silent for a moment and Su Mayan looked up, coldly saying, Get out. When they arrive, bring them directly to my office. Su Mayan did not deny it. After the door closed, she leaned back in her chair, staring at the ceiling and whispering softly, if it weren't for him, why would I invest in this company? Shen Yanxi, if only you were still by my side. When Jiang Yichen arrived at the company, Lin Xiang happened to see him outside. He had already heard that Su Mayan had invested 100 million into this company, and the terms she asked for were incredibly low. He instantly realized that Su Mayan's target was Shen Yanxi. Lin Xiang clenched his fists, his eyes cold and dark. The money Su Mayan gave him in total didn't even add up to a few million, yet now, for Shen Yanxi, she could easily fork out 100 million. How is that fair? Why wasn't it for me? In the conference room, as both parties signed the contract, they officially entered a partnership, and the money would be transferred within an hour. Su Mayan's tone was calm. Jiang Yichen nodded. Thank you, Chairwoman Su. He paused, curious. Actually, I don't quite understand. You are such an influential figure. Why would you spend so much money for such poor terms? Su Mayan smiled faintly. I don't care about your company, nor do I care about this 100 million. I want something else. Jiang Yichen suddenly recalled the rumors he'd heard recently, realizing that Shen Yanxi was the true reason behind this investment. He couldn't help but feel a bit envious. Understood. Jiang Yichen smiled, but rest assured, I have always been responsible to my investors. That is true for Mr. Shen, and it is true for you. I hope so, Su Mayan replied coldly, masking all her emotions. After sending Jiang Yichen off, Su Mayan clenched her fists, a cold sneer appearing on her lips. Make sure this news spreads, she instructed her assistant. The person who belongs to me will always be mine. He thought about the past, but that was impossible. The news spread quickly. The news of Su Mayan proactively investing in a game company exploded in the business world, and Lin Xiang also received the news. He held it in for a whole day, but finally rushed into Su Mayan's office. Mayan! Su Mayan looked at him, and to her surprise, felt a flicker of disgust. This man. He would act servile in front of her, using a pitiful demeanor to solicit sympathy. Yet, Shen Yanxi had never done such a thing. Even when he was hurt or neglected, he never lowered himself. He simply withdrew silently, which made her suddenly realize that her choice of Lin Xiang back then was her greatest mistake. Say what you have to say, Su Mayan said coldly. Lin Xiang sniffled, his eyes turning red. Do you still have Shun in your heart? Su Mayan didn't answer. Instead, she looked at him and spoke abruptly. Lin Xiang, what position do you think you're suited for? Secretary, of course. Lin Xiang was stunned. Not understanding what she meant, Su Mayan smiled, her tone indifferent. Your compensation will remain the same, but your position needs some adjustments. Go to the logistics department. The logistics department? Lin Xiang's mind buzzed. The logistics department in this company. It was the lowest level department, responsible only for purchasing office supplies with almost zero presence. If he went there, he would completely lose his chance to be in contact with Su Mayan. Mayan, I beg you, don't make me go to the logistics department, please. He pleaded, his voice cracking, and tears even began to fall. Lin Xiang, go. Su Mayan's expression was calm. Otherwise, I guarantee you won't even be able to stay in this company. Lin Xiang stiffened. A threat. This was a threat. Su Mayan had never used this tone with him before. Lin Xiang's face turned pale. He finally realized he had been completely discarded. As Lin Xiang packed his things, the people in the office were gleeful. This guy had relied on the chairman's favor. He used to boss everyone around, but now he was finally getting his comeuppance. However, they weren't stupid. Although happy inside, no one dared to show it. What if he made a comeback one day? But Lin Xiang knew clearly that he would never have another chance to rise again. He clutched his box. He glared fiercely at Su Mayan's office, whispering through gritted teeth. Shin Yanci, I won't let you have it easy. At the same time, Su Mayan's phone rang. Seeing it was a call from Song Shuran, she sat up. She answered, tell me what's going on. Are you planning to go to war with Wenzi? I will never give Shin Yanci to her. Su Mayan's tone was cold and hard, filled with unquestionable resolve. On the other end of the line, Song Shuran sighed. If you knew it would come to this, why act that way back then? What about Lin Xiang? She asked casually. I already sent him to the logistics department, Su Mayan said in a dull tone, as if she had discarded an insignificant insect. Song Shuran nodded. All right then. I assume Shin Yanci already knows by now. If my husband doesn't give me a kiss, I won't be happy. He didn't take Su Mayan's flirting to heart at all. In fact, he felt a bit tickled by it. I couldn't help but chuckle. I want a kiss right now, right? When Z said with a sly smile, do you want to come to my company? Friendly reminder, I have nothing going on this afternoon, and the company has a lounge. Oh, I wonder if someone is willing to come. Someone? I raised an eyebrow. Might as well just say my name. Fine, then Mr. Shen Yanci. Are you willing to grace us with your presence now? I chuckled. I'll be there soon. This woman really has me completely wrapped around her finger. I hung up the phone. I shook my head. Su Mayan is insane, 100 million. In exchange for a mere 5% of the shares, without interfering in operations, why on earth does she think I'd turn back? Some things, once done, can never be treated as if they didn't happen. But I don't have the time to worry about her right now. When Z is the priority. Just as I was about to head out, my phone rang suddenly. I thought it was Su Mayan, but it turned out to be another friend. I teased with a smile. Hey, if I remember correctly, you should be vacationing in the Maldives right now, right? What are the beauties there? No longer attractive to you? You're calling me, so it must be something very important. The person on the other end said lazily, just got the news. The proposal for the Modu merger with the Lin line has been passed. It will be announced by next year at the latest, and those 9,000 plus acres you bought in Linxian should fetch a pretty good price. How does it feel to be friends with a future multi-billionaire? I paused for a moment. Then, I couldn't help but laugh. Back then, I speculated that Modu might annex Linxian. I bought over 9,000 acres at a low price to establish a new development zone, ostensibly to start a floral company. In reality, it was to wait for an opportunity. At that time, Linxian's economy was backward, and land prices were ridiculously cheap. I acquired that land for less than 200 million, and many people thought I was crazy. Even in the worst-case scenario, I wouldn't lose money by spending nearly 200 million on land that was considered worthless. Just selling flowers brings in an annual net profit of 8 million. Is this for certain? I asked. Certain, the person on the other end said with a smile. You'll likely have quite a few buyers approaching you for an acquisition in the next few days, so you should prepare your price. I never expected this. Their tone was filled with envy. When you asked me to invest with you back then, I even mocked you. Look at me now. I've missed out on a huge opportunity. I chuckled. Even if we went back 3 years, you still wouldn't have bought it. Damn, you're right, they said helplessly. Anyway, I won't disturb you further. Remember to treat me to a meal once you're a multi-billionaire. After hanging up, I drove directly to Wenzi's company. Meanwhile, the person responsible for monitoring me had already reported the news to Su Mayan. Su Mayan's face turned gloomy instantly. Z must have learned about her investment news. Calling Shin Yanci over this time was just to tell him that Shin Yanci is mine now, and has nothing to do with you. This guy is really... Su Mayan's tone was icy. Her fingers gripped the tabletop tightly. Keep watching him, and report any developments immediately. Yes. In the company lounge, when Z was sitting on my lap. Honey, She feigned a coquettish tone, her eyes bewitching. I gently squeezed her waist. You silly girl, do you miss me that much? When Z smiled triumphantly, wrapping her arms around my neck. Were you bullied by your ex-boss? After she finished, she leaned in, pecking the corner of my mouth gently, her eyes tender and shy. Don't worry, I said in a low voice. It's over between her and me. I know. When Z leaned against my shoulder with a smile, give me a hug. She greedily breathed in my scent, like a satisfied little cat. The sunlight streamed through the window onto us, warm and cozy. This feeling was truly wonderful. Just then, when Z's phone rang, she answered it and listened for a few moments, her expression shifting slightly. But I understand. After hanging up, when Z instantly returned to her cool, domineering business goddess demeanor. What's wrong? I asked. Just received news that the proposal for Modu to annex Lincian has been passed in the cabinet meeting and will be officially announced by 7 p.m. tomorrow. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. But I remember, doesn't your company avoid real estate investments? When Z nodded, we indeed don't. I was just making a comment. I expect this development will create quite a few billionaires. That's true, for example, me. I looked at Wen Z and said with a smile. Wen Z looked at me puzzled. What does this have to do with you? I smiled calmly. 3 years ago, I bought over 9,000 acres of land there to grow flowers. I originally thought about running a small business, but I didn't expect. Wen Z was stunned. You bought it 3 years ago? That's right, I shrugged. At the time, I was just trying my luck. Wen Z looked at me, her gaze complex. Your foresight is just too sharp, isn't it? I smiled without answering. Wen Z couldn't help but exclaim. You'll make a fortune this time, won't you? About 35 billion, I suppose. Wen Z's eyes widened slightly. Say that again? 35 billion, give or take, I said in a nonchalant tone. Wen Z stared at me for a long time, then suddenly laughed. Hee, in that case, I can just rely on my husband for a living from now on. Meanwhile, Su Mayan was still in her office, her expression growing increasingly unpleasant. She had declared war this time, only to have the other party call Shin Yansi over directly. Who knew what the two of them were doing? They still haven't come out yet? Su Mayan looked at the staff beside her, speaking coldly. The subordinate trembled slightly, not daring to meet her eyes. Yes, chairperson. Mr. Shun hasn't left yet, Su Mayan sneered, her nails digging deep into her palms. Wen Z, I didn't expect you to be this ruthless. Fine, let's see. Which of us will win in the end? While Su Mayan was having a mental breakdown, Wen Z was curled up in my arms. We were having fun, and he gently bit my neck, kissing it every now and then, as if marking his territory. My neck is covered in your saliva now, I said helplessly. Wen Z's face flushed slightly, and he hummed, my saliva smells good. If you don't believe me, taste it. Before I could respond, he took the initiative. He pinned me to the bed and leaned down to kiss me. His lips were a bit cool, soft and moist with a hint of aggression, as if he was determined to leave his mark on me. Just as the atmosphere was heating up, my phone suddenly rang. I sighed and picked up the phone. It was an unknown number. Hello? A deep, powerful male voice came from the other side. Hello? Am I speaking with Mr. Shin? I am Gu Mingyuan, chairman of Jiaming Real Estate. I was slightly stunned. The leader of the domestic real estate industry, a giant with a market capitalization of 3.79 trillion, the richest man in the country. Why did this guy call me personally? I vaguely guessed his purpose. Chairman Gu, I wonder what you wanted to find me for? You must have already heard the news about Shanghai annexing Lin County, Gu Mingyuan said in a measured tone. Our Jiaming Real Estate is interested in investing in Lin County, and we hope to discuss the land you hold. The meaning behind his words was simple. As long as you are willing to sell, the price is not an issue. Chairman Gu is certainly making a big move. I smiled. I wonder what price you are willing to offer. Gu Mingyuan's voice was steady. Starting at 40 billion. His tone was firm. Jiaming Real Estate has sufficient funds. Payment will be made within 3 days after the contract is signed. If you are not satisfied, we can meet to discuss in detail. 40 billion, a significant premium, but I also knew Jiaming Real Estate's capital chain had been experiencing issues lately. They wanted to use the land acquisition to raise funds and maintain market confidence, possibly even gambling on the stability of their capital chain for the next 5 years. Chairman Gu, I value efficiency in business, I said in a calm tone. Payment within 3 days must be written into the contract. I paused and added, you must pay a deposit of 3 billion on the day of signing. If the full amount isn't received within 3 days, the contract is void, and the 3 billion belongs to me. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then, Gu Mingyuan laughed. Straightforward. No problem. Then let's meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Shanghai. You can choose the specific location, and I will send you the address later. See you there. After hanging up the phone, Wen Zi looked at me curiously. 40 billion? I nodded. Wen Zi thought for a moment, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. If I were you, I would increase the price to 55 billion. Hearing this, I frowned slightly. Why? Wen Zi leaned against my shoulder, his tone relaxed. Jiaming Real Estate has recently had financing issues. What they need most is the capital chain for the next 5 years. Your land is not just an asset. It is their trump card to stabilize market confidence. So no matter how much you ask for, they will grit their teeth and agree. I was silent for a few seconds, then laughed. Miss One is truly a business genius. Of course, when Z held his head up proudly, my man can't afford to be at a loss. He suddenly sat up and said seriously, for tomorrow's negotiation, I'll have our company's legal team accompany you. Why help me so much? When Z reached out and pinched my chin. Smiling slyly, of course I am your woman. On the other side, Su Mayan also received the news quickly. When she learned that I had bought the Lin County land at a low price 3 years ago, and was now about to sell it for an astronomical price, her expression froze. How is his eye for business so accurate? Song Shuran sat across from her and shrugged. To be honest, I think Xinyansi is smarter than any of us. Su Mayan picked up her wine glass and downed it in one gulp. A few months ago, I was still an employee in her company with an annual salary of 1 million. She thought that if I left her, I would achieve nothing, but now I haven't just successfully turned my life around. I am also standing at the threshold of Shanghai's top-tier capital. If only we had known, why act that way back then, Song Shuren whispered. When I got home that night, when Z was carrying 2 bags and ran to me excitedly. Hubby, look, I bought couples pajamas. I looked down. One set is a dinosaur, one set is a rabbit. Are you sure you want me to wear this? The corners of my mouth twitched. Of course. When Z put her hands on her hips, her tone brooking no refusal. Put it on or I'll be angry. Unable to best her, I had to change into the green dinosaur pajamas, while she changed into the rabbit ones. Fluffy and soft, it was inexplicably cute. When Z leaned in close to me, Hubby, shall we take a photo and post it on Moments? I smiled. Sure. When Z held up her phone and took a few shots leaning against me, chose the cutest one to post on Moments and I posted the same one. The comments section exploded instantly, with countless likes and remarks like, what a perfect pair, and match made in heaven. Meanwhile, outside the residential complex, Su Mayan looked up at a familiar window. She knew that inside that window, the man she once knew best used to live. But now, the lights inside were warm, faintly revealing the shadows of a couple. Her phone vibrated. Su Mayan looked down. It was Shin Yensi's post. She opened the photo, and in the picture, when Z and I were leaning against each other in couple pajamas, smiling gently and happily, Su Mayan's fingers froze, and memories from years ago suddenly surfaced in her mind. It was the first year we were together, after I received my first paycheck. I had happily bought matching items to use with her, but her reaction was, she threw them straight into the trash. She also coldly remarked, don't bring this garbage home ever again. Su Mayan had once believed that I would always stay by her side, no matter how she treated me. I would never leave, but now, she realized that the man who once revolved entirely around her had completely left her world and would never look back. The next morning, I put on a crisp suit and stood before the mirror, straightening my collar. How do I look? I turned to look at Wen Z on the sofa. When Z looked up, her eyes filled with admiration. Then she pretended to be calm and huffed. Ridiculously handsome. It's a good thing Gu Mingyuan is a man. Otherwise, I wouldn't be at ease. I walked over with a smile and pinched her cheek. Don't worry, even if it were a goddess, I only love our misses. When Z's face turned red instantly, and she gave me a light push. We aren't married yet. I'm not your wife, don't call me that. Could it be that someone doesn't want to get married? I feigned shock, teasing her on purpose. You're just bullying me. When Z gave a soft huff, but her eyes were full of sweetness. Just then, there was a knock at the door. When Z got up to answer it and 3 members of the legal team walked in. I had dealt with these people before. They were once my rivals, but now they had become my allies. Mr. Shin. They nodded slightly. I exchanged pleasantries with them before getting down to business. The food at this restaurant was average, but the environment was suitable for business negotiations, and it was said the owner behind it had a significant background. Not long after we were seated, Gu Mingyuan arrived. Mr. Shen, I've heard a lot about you. Chairman Gu, trust you've been well. The two shook hands, and his gaze swept over my team, a glint of sharpness flashing in his eyes. He certainly knew that as soon as Wen Zi's legal team appeared, it meant today's negotiation wouldn't be easy. After a few polite exchanges, the negotiation began. Gu Mingyuan got straight to the point. Mr. Shen, we are willing to offer 41 billion. I believe when we spoke on the phone yesterday, we had already discussed this, so I wonder what your take is on this price. I leaned back in my chair and chuckled. Chairman Gu, our target price is 60 billion. Gu Mingyuan's eyes darkened slightly. That price is likely too high. I'm afraid it is not, I said in a steady tone. Although this piece of land is not in the city center, it is not far from the Magic City, and the investment scale for this development zone is in the trillions. Once launched, this place will become the new economic growth hub of the Magic City, and countless companies will come here to develop. You aren't just buying land. You are buying future financial value. Gu Mingyuan was silent for a few seconds, then smiled. Mr. Shen's negotiation style is truly sharp. Chairman Gu is too kind. I looked up at him, and the negotiation officially kicked off. Gu Mingyuan's team and my legal team engaged in a battle of offense and defense. He first emphasized the limitations of the land's location to try and lower the price, while my legal team continuously countered with positive news, amplifying the future appreciation potential of the land, step by step. After another 2 hours of tug-of-war, we finally finalized the price, with the full payment to be transferred within 3 days. Gu Mingyuan smiled and raised his glass. Mr. Shen, a pleasure doing business with you. I clinked my glass against his and finished it in one gulp. This deal was officially concluded, with the contract reviewed repeatedly by the legal team to ensure fund delivery. Please review the details, including the breach of contract clauses. The lawyer handed the contract to me and Gu Mingyuan. I scanned it quickly, confirmed everything was correct, and signed my name on the contract. The other party signed as well. 15 minutes later, 3 billion in cash arrived. Gu Mingyuan smiled and shook my hand. The remaining balance will definitely be transferred within 3 days. You're very straightforward, Chairman Gu. I hope we have the chance to cooperate again. Less than an hour after the contract was signed, the news appeared online. Jimin Real Estate spent 5.2 billion to acquire the core plot in the Shanghai development zone. At the same time, Jimin Real Estate's stock price skyrocketed, and market confidence rebounded. When Z watched the news and chuckled, they moved really fast. That's their way of survival. I leaned on the sofa and chatted with her. To them, this plot of land is more important than their lives. Jimin Real Estate's capital chain was struggling. They had to rely on this land for financing, to stabilize market confidence, otherwise the entire group could have collapsed. Now they have succeeded. Meanwhile, in Su Mayan's company, the logistics department was buzzing. Did you hear? Shen Yanxi sold the land he held. It's said to have sold for over 80 billion, though I heard it was 100 billion. Is that for real? That's just absurd. A group of people discussed it, their faces filled with wonder and envy. Lin Xiang sat in the corner, his face ashen, clenching his fists until his palms were sweaty. A few months ago, he thought he could replace me, even believing that after I was kicked out of the company, I would amount to nothing. But now, with just one deal, I earned more wealth than several generations could ever make. Lin Xiang looked down at his phone, his eyes filled with anxiety and restlessness. His entire net worth was invested in a skyrocketing stock. If he won, he might barely be able to turn his life around. If he lost, his life would be completely over. Meanwhile, in another corner of the capital market, a group of people were celebrating in a luxury villa. The time is right, let's start. It was late at night. Lin Xiang sat on the sofa, his expression unreadable. Just then, the doorbell rang. He hurriedly got up to open the door. Brother Ong, what's wrong? Why are you so nervous? His friend walked in, looking puzzled. Lin Xiang didn't respond, but gestured for him to sit down. Tell me, is that stock really okay? He asked nervously, his tone serious. The friend was stunned, then smiled. Don't worry, Brother Ong, you can rest easy. There's definitely no problem with the stock. It's still rising today, and people are still buying it like crazy. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Just sit at home and count your money. Lin Xiang breathed a sigh of relief, slumping onto the sofa. If I sell now, how much will I make? The friend thought for a moment. About 2 million. Lin Xiang pondered, suddenly becoming serious. Then sell it now. Sell it today. Sell it immediately. The friend was stunned. Brother Ong, if you sell now, you'll only make 2 million, right? What do you think you can do with that money? Buy a house and renovate it, and those 2 million will be gone. Lin Xiang was silent for a while, a flash of determination in his eyes. I have a bad feeling about this. Let's just sell it. Making 2 million is better than nothing. At least I can keep that money. The friend hesitated for a moment, reminding him, it's Friday night, and by regulation, the market is already closed, and it won't open on the weekend, so even if you want to sell, you have to wait until Monday. Lin Xiang was taken aback, his mood sinking even further. Monday! Lin Xiang paced the room. Then wait until Monday, and as soon as it's possible to sell it immediately. The next morning, I woke up, and when Z was still sleeping peacefully beside me. I didn't disturb her, just picked up my phone to check the news. When I saw the stock market notification, a look of surprise crossed my face. The stock had fallen. Couldn't help but chuckle. It seems those traders have already filled their pockets, but they were a bit too greedy and short-sighted, not waiting for a higher price to cash out. Looks like they don't dare to take any more risks. Still, I don't care about that. I have already exited in advance, having earned more than enough earlier. The fluctuations of the stock market no longer have much impact on me. At the same time, Lin Xiang stood in front of the sofa, his eyes fixed firmly on his phone. The stock market data on the screen sent a chill through his entire body, and his eyes were filled with fear. His fingers tapped the refresh button repeatedly, but no matter how many times he refreshed, the stock prices kept plummeting. This is impossible, Lin Xiang muttered to himself, quickly picking up his phone. He dialed his stockbroker's number. How could this be? Lin Xiang asked anxiously. There was no answer on the other end of the line. How is this possible? Lin Xiang's heart began to race. Feeling like he was suffocating, he dialed the number again, but there was still no response. Lin Xiang hurriedly put on his clothes and rushed out of the house. When he arrived at the broker's place, he kicked the door open without hesitation. A scream immediately erupted from inside, the voices of two women. Brother Ong. The broker lay on the bed, his face full of confusion. Clearly having no idea what was going on, Lin Xiang saw this guy lying dazed on the bed, and his rage exploded instantly. He walked over, grabbed him by the collar, and demanded angrily, I'm asking you, how could this be? The broker still looked completely bewildered. How could what be? Brother Ong, what exactly happened? His tone was helpless, while the two women nearby were in a panic, hastily putting on their clothes. My money, I'm asking you. Didn't you say there was no problem with the stock? So how could this be? As he spoke, Lin Xiang threw his phone. Quickly in front of him, the broker paused for a moment and took the phone. His intuition told him that something must have gone wrong. Otherwise, Lin Xiang wouldn't be reacting this violently. He quickly opened the stock market page, scanned the screen, and his expression instantly turned to one of disbelief. How could it be? The broker muttered to himself, his face filled with confusion. Could it be a technical correction? He thought to himself, but he immediately found that hard to believe. The market was falling too fast. It didn't look like a common correction at all. And most importantly, the downward trend was continuing, which meant this decline had been orchestrated by someone. The broker's mind went blank. He already understood what was going on, but he dared not admit it.